Right, good day, dear listeners. Welcome back to another episode of The Truth with Ben Jokes, your trusted channel for undiluted political analysis. Breaking news: Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja today, September 4, to commence a working vacation in Europe as part of his 2025 annual leave. Of course, there were thousands of comments reacting to that update, but this particular one says, at Grok, how many days in all has Tinubu spent on travels since January 2025? And the AI app gave him the accurate answer. It says, according to reports from sources like State House, Nairaland, and news outlets, e.g., FIJ and Global Upfront, Tinubu has spent approximately 76 days on foreign travels since January 2025 up to today, September 4, 2025. This includes trips to Ghana, UAE, Tanzania, France, Brazil, St. Lucia, etc. Now, with 3 months, 26 days left in this year, Tinubu has already spent 76 days outside Nigeria. This current journey might take him up to 14 days. That would be 90 days. Then he will return and travel again in October. And it is not like his presence in Nigeria improves anything in the country. We are just pointing this out for those who may be deceived, who may have been deceived into thinking that Tinubu has anything positive to offer Nigerians. Nobody who has anything positive to offer would be gallivanting around the world like this. By the end of Tinubu's 4 years in office, he would have spent more than 365 days outside Nigeria. Who does that? And without any impact, we can't see anything that his travels have brought. What a tragedy. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that humongous lie coming out of Aso Rock in the absence of any real achievements. These people have now taken to telling bold-faced lies to Nigerians. But this particular lie actually is hilarious. And next is that big one coming out of the United States. Yesterday, Tinubu said in a speech that with increasing non-oil revenue in Nigeria, his administration does not care about Donald Trump's policies. Meanwhile, they were secretly asking the US for aids to fight hunger in Nigeria. And immediately after that speech, US President Donald Trump disgraced Tinubu. How did he do it? He approved $32.5 million for Nigeria to fight hunger. What a shame. Your revenue is increasing, but you are still begging Trump for money to fight hunger in your country. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video. While trying to prove that Tinubu has not met his budget targets, Professor Bongo gave Tinubu an undue credit that some Nigerians have also given him in the past, and I have to just point that out. Let's watch this video.
So it's important to speak to that from where we are coming from, right? So let's go back to 2023. Okay, so we know the fiscal situation of the country. I've already given the budget deficits. I cited a trend from 2020, so which has come down to about 3%. In that sense, I think something has been achieved. So rather than asking the question, is the government doing well, I would rather say what could have been if they didn't do what they have done.
No, we have all agreed that the Buhari administration didn't do well.
Great.
So we all agree with President Tinubu that this administration is doing
so
better.
I think the president has managed to
pull us. What's your assessment?
Yeah, so he has managed to pull us out of that pit. Yeah. So we're out of it. Okay. So whether we have steadied the economy, for a self-sustaining growth is a different conversation. So let's look at the budget this year. The budget of 2025, the assumptions in the budget: inflation is 15%, oil production is above 2 million barrels per day, exchange rate is 1,500 to the dollar. So let's look at these 3 key indicators. Where are they currently? Okay, oil production hasn't gotten to their own assumption, 2 million, so it's still at 1.7, 1.8. Inflation is way above 15%. And then exchange rate hasn't stabilized at 1,500. It's still well above 1,500. Even if it's 1,501, all those significant, small changes, mean a lot in terms of volatility in the market. So exchange rate hasn't stabilized. They haven't met any of the assumptions in the budget. So claiming that the economy has stabilized, yes, we are not where we used to be. That's all I can say. But are we where we should be? No, we are not.
You saw that. Now, Professor Bongo rightly pointed out that Tinubu has failed in his 3 key indicators in the 2025 budget. 1, they said they would bring inflation down to 15%. 2, they said in 2025 they will bring dollar down to $1 to 1,500 naira. And 3, they said they would start producing 2 million barrels of crude oil per day. That was the 3 targets of this administration in the 2025 budget. Today, they have failed in all 3. Inflation is still almost 30%, way above the 15% that they projected. Exchange rate is $1 to 1,540 naira, more than the 1,500 that they projected. And as it stands, they are not producing 2 million barrels of crude oil per day. Now, that is correct from Professor Bongo. But the part I disagree with is the part where Professor Bongo and Ruben Abati agreed that Tinubu has performed better than Buhari. And I am reacting to this because there are people who have been sold that narrative and they have bought it. Please reject that narrative. IMF pressured Buhari to remove subsidies from petrol and naira. Buhari refused because, according to him, prices will somersault and we don't know how to bring them down. People will suffer too much. That was exactly how Buhari put it. But in Tinubu's case, he didn't only remove subsidy from petrol and naira, he removed from every other thing and began sharing the money between himself, governors, and lawmakers. And just as Buhari predicted, prices have somersaulted and Tinubu can't do anything about it. They will tell you that foreign reserve has increased tremendously under Tinubu, but our debt has also increased. It is big earners, people who earn big salaries like Ruben Abati and Professor Bongo, that can sit there and say that Tinubu has performed better than Buhari. But nobody who earns between 30,000 naira to 300,000 naira monthly can honestly say that. And that is the bracket that 95%, if not more, of Nigerians fall within. So for me, Tinubu's first 2.5 years is worse than Buhari's first 2.5 years. Point blank, period. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that enormous lie coming out of Aso Rock. In the absence of real achievements to show to Nigerians, humongous lies are now being cooked up. And next is that big one from the United States. Trump disgracing Tinubu after Tinubu's speech where he said Trump's policies are irrelevant. Let's start by taking that update from the presidency. Look at how the papers reported it. Naira was 1,900 naira to a dollar when I took over. Now it is 1,450 naira. Bola Tinubu has stated that the naira has strengthened against the dollar under his watch, moving from 1,900 naira to a dollar when he assumed office to 1,450 naira to a dollar at present. Speaking on Tuesday while receiving members of the Buhari Organization, a political group of leaders from the defunct Congress for Progressive Change (CPC) at the presidential villa in Abuja, Tinubu said the development reflected a stabilized economy, with the government meeting its 2024 revenue target ahead of schedule without resorting to borrowing. The economy has stabilized. Nobody is trading a piece of paper for an exchange rate anymore, Tinubu claimed. When I took over, it was 1,900 naira to a dollar. It is now 1,450 naira. It has been stabilizing there. You don't have to know Cardoso before you get your foreign exchange. Tinubu said his administration remained committed to fixing the economy, creating jobs, and ensuring food sovereignty through modernized agriculture. What a lie. Lying before our very eyes like this. Anybody who knows anything about exchange rates in this country knows that Buhari actually left exchange rate at 750 naira to a dollar, and that was exactly where Tinubu took over from. And now he's saying that he met it at 1,900 naira to a dollar. What kind of lie is this? And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to this, that big update coming out of the United States began making the rounds. Tinubu said, with increasing non-oil revenues in Nigeria, everything that Trump is doing does not concern him. Meanwhile, they were asking America for money to fight hunger in Nigeria. Look at how the papers reported it. US approves $32.5 million aid for Nigeria to address hunger. The United States has approved $32.5 million for Nigeria to address hunger. This is rare since President Donald Trump suspended most aid through the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. The funding will provide food assistance and nutritional support to internally displaced people, IDPs, in conflict-affected areas, the U.S. mission to Nigeria said in a statement on Wednesday. Insecurity and funding cuts have put northern Nigeria in the grip of an unprecedented hunger crisis that could leave more than 1.3 million people without food and force the closure of 150 nutrition clinics in Borno State. Margot van der Velden, the World Food Programme's regional director for West Africa, said in July, the World Food Programme suspended food assistance across crisis-hit West and Central African countries as a result of US and other global aid cuts that are grinding its operations to a halt. The West African country is also dealing with an insurgency in its northeast region that has resulted in the death of around 35,000 civilians and the displacement of more than 2 million others, according to the United Nations. And because of all these, we began looking for money up and down. But the man at the helm of affairs had the effrontery to say, with the growth of his non-oil revenue, he does not care about the policies of the president of the United States. But now he is happy to receive $32.5 million from them. So you mean you were expecting millions of dollars from them, and you had the effrontery to stand and deliver a speech that you don't care about their policies? What kind of shamelessness is this? And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet by Jay says, I hope the federal government rejects it, since it said it has met its revenue target for the year and it doesn't care about what Trump's policies can do. Here is a policy you shouldn't care about now. Now it's time to show working as against cho. Now it's time to show that you don't care about Donald Trump. Show to the whole world now that you don't care about his policies. They have approved $32.5 million for you, as you begged for, as you requested for. But since you claim that your revenue is in place, tell them that you don't need it. Please, show the world that you are a man, that you can stand. And well-meaning Nigerian here says, US in Nigeria, they will steal the money. The poor Nigerians will not see anything. We have top highway robbers in power. That is the truth. They are the ones who will benefit from this money. He will never reject it. He will grab it with open arms and they will share it amongst themselves. And this tweet here says, how can a country with many natural resources and a member of OPEC countries hoping for US aid to reduce hunger in the country? That is the other side of this report that every patriotic Nigerian should see and weep. First of all, since last year, the World Food Programme has been feeding women and children and other vulnerable people in northeast Nigeria. And then they announced, sometime towards the end of last year, they announced that the funding was reducing. And that Nigeria should do something in case the funding ceases and they will not be able to feed those people again, that the government should do something. Maybe invest in irrigation, agriculture, food product. Just do something to feed your people. But the government did nothing. And then around March this year, they announced that the funding will be ending in July and that millions of people will be exposed to hunger. Do you know that the government still did nothing? July came and they cut the funding, and those people actually became hungry, and Tinubu didn't do anything. So, saying that the people were very hungry and the government is irresponsible, the US now decided, to grant the money they had been begging for, and they released this $32.5 million. Go and feed your people. Take money and go and attend to the hunger in your country. So if you know you are running such an irresponsible administration, how can you have the effrontery to come and talk where countries are talking? Nigeria, of all countries in the world, should not be complaining about anything like hunger. We can even complain about certain things that we can say are beyond our sophistication technologically, like power, internet, and all those kind of things. We can claim that they are beyond us. But food production, just to till the soil and then plant, this is such a shame. We should be feeding the world. We have the potential to feed the world. That is what Peter Obi says every time. He said Niger State and one or two other states, if well cultivated, can feed the entire country. And if we add other states, we should begin exporting massively. He said, if we are serious about agriculture, exportation of food will even give us as much money as crude oil and things like cotton. These are ideas that Obi has put down properly, and he has arranged everything, how to go about it and bring it to light. This is why I keep saying this thing every day. It's not because we have met this man. We have never met him. We don't expect anything from him financially. Even when we meet on spaces, it's just to discuss the situation of the country and everybody goes away. But the reason why we are backing him is because we have seen that he is the one that has the ideas to move this country forward. Not this whole revenue, we collect tax, we do. No, we have things that are beyond that as a nation. But because we have a government that cannot explore them, we have become beggars before the whole world. I wish and I pray that Nigeria will experience a Peter Obi presidency for the good of all of us. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go away.